Hi, Michael. How did you get hold of John Lennon's tooth?
I bought John Lennon's tooth in November 2011 at a UK auction that was directly from John Lennon's housekeeper.
How did she get hold of the tooth?
She was given the tooth when John came home from the dentist, and he initially asked her to throw it in the garbage, and then he said, well, why don't you give it to your daughter, who's a big fan? So the daughter ended up getting a rotten tooth for a souvenir, and she moved to Canada and kept it here for many years, and they just recently decided to sell it.
Right. You tried to, of course, clone John Lennon from this tooth. It was an ambition. What was that process about?
The whole idea of using the tooth for every purpose we could think of, including, artwork and crusades and charity. But the ultimate goal, whenever you get a piece of a tooth, is you can potentially get forensic information. And if you can get to genetic code, the science is heading towards being able to clone humans.
And is the tooth in good enough condition to get viable matter from it?
Well, it's in pretty rough shape, but we're hoping to get something from it. I just told the scientists to hold off a bit, and I just wanted to document all the lab steps on camera so that we could actually see this later.
Do you feel conflicted at all about trying to bring John Lennon's clone into the world?
Oh yeah, that's why I have bags under my eyes, because I keep thinking the ethical issues, and it's a tough call, but I potentially have access to his genome. I can potentially own it, and then I can be in a position to hopefully control whether something like that is done.
Okay, so it's an entrepreneurial thing, not a scientific endeavor that you're embarking on here.
Oh no, it's both.
Okay, so what would happen if this was to go through to completion? A baby would be produced that would be, in effect, the clone of John Lennon.
That's right. Basically, be an identical twin, born years later. There's all these issues to think about, who would raise it, and obviously it likely would happen in confidence to try to keep this undercover for as long as possible, or the idea of being in some kind of royal rock and roll family where they're used to lots of publicity anyway, and it's just one of those things.
Would you ever talk to Yoko about it?
I guess if we're short of genetic material, it would be nice to have cooperation from Yoko. But I think their relationship ended when he was killed, and so it's more of a long-term issue. Is his estate is going to perpetuate forever if it's properly managed. So he could potentially come back and be the head of his own company again.
That's too bizarre to even think about, really, isn't it?
Well, you think in the future there could be dictators that want to keep on going, and rather than trusting their kids to do it, they usually want to do it themselves. So I would assume dictators are going to start wanting to clone themselves before they're at their edge, and rock stars and people with billions of dollars, they often freeze themselves, and this might be an alternative that makes more sense.
All right, what about the rest of the Beatles? Have you got any genetic material from them?
I do have Paul McCartney's hair, and you can even get a genetic sequence from the normal strand of hair without the stem or the root. So it's kind of crazy. Hairdressers might be sources of clones in the future.
Yeah, all right. Well, you could get this band back together come hell or high water.
Well, it's potentially possible. Again, it would just be one stepping stone here to what we could potentially do in the future.
All right, well, you're willing to get out and have a crack, that is for sure, Doctor. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, thanks a lot. Take care of yourself.
Would you go to that guy to have your tooth done?
It takes all kinds, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a harvesting or a root canal?
That's right.